What we have here today is the Honda City S. So the S is the entry-level variant for the all-new Honda City. Now I know that Carl previously talked about the top-of-the-line all-new City RS back when it was launched. But we also understand that a lot of consumers out there, a lot of buyers also opt for the mid-variant trims or even the entry-level ones like this one. The City starts at 848,000 for the manual variant of this S. And then this one, the CVT, it's priced at 888,000 pesos. Now, the V variant, which Carl and Nix have agreed that may be the best seller, is priced at 978,000. So it's exactly 90,000 pesos more expensive than this S CVT. Now, considering that price difference, we need to talk about the differences, because I think that this S variant and the V CVT will be the ones that people will be looking for the most. All variants of the City come with a 1.5-liter inline-4 gasoline engine. There are two transmissions available. One is the manual, which is only available at the S, and then the rest have a CVT. So that's from the S CVT up to the RS. The new City has evolved significantly from the last generation. The front and the rear and the side profiles look a lot more premium with more modern lines. Now, it kind of positions itself similar to how the new Accord and the new Civic look. The front grille resembles a lot like its older siblings in the lineup. All variants from the S to the RS get daytime running lights. Now, this S variant doesn't have fog lamps and doesn't have LED headlights. But I like that Honda opted to still put the daytime running light to, make it feel more up to date. Now, when it comes to exterior, the biggest and most prominent difference would probably be the wheels. Well, the V gets 16-inch alloys. This S variant gets 15-inch alloys. An interesting note about the new City is the placement of the side mirrors. It's not really directly at the end of the A-pillar, but it's actually attached to the body of the car, into the door. Since it's on the door, there's space between the A-pillar and the front of the side mirror, which helps when you're turning. Now, if you're talking about a major drawback, would be the lack of rear sensors in the rear camera for the S variant. There's the absence of cruise control. We usually see it on this side of the steering wheel. But I guess we've been spoiled these days with cars with backup cameras, with sensors, but this car kind of makes you, do it the old way. In terms of seats, it's still the same fabric that you would see in the V, because only the RS gets the suede touches. Now the difference is, you don't get the silver and gray accents on the aircon vents, on the door handles, but you do get this black finish around the gear lever. On the dashboard trimmings, it's just silver, but I like that they still opted to put this dash of silver on the dashboard, even with the more affordable variants like the City S. In terms of instrument cluster, it's not colored, it's pretty basic, but I like how Honda still made an effort with the rings around the dials. It still has the basic buttons on the steering wheel, and I like that they still put the gloss black touch on the fast forward and the back buttons for the songs. These small touches on variants like this one make a huge difference when combined. Now, I would want to focus more on the differences in the interior. Now, before anything, all variants of the City get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which I think is a really good inclusion. You also get the same infotainment system, the same screen size, with the same buttons. Now, Carl was mentioning in his previous video that there's no knob for the volume, but there are buttons, which are pretty nice to touch. They're pretty solid. It has two USB ports. One socket is for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and one's just for charging. It also has the usual 12-volt socket. Also standard on all variants is the climate control system, which is also a huge move, because you don't really see climate control for all variants at cars at this segment. Now, Honda also equipped all variants of the City with the push start button. Also not something you usually see in all variants of, a more affordable model like the City. Now, personally, I would still go for the V variant, because I think that the rear camera and the rear sensors are quite important nowadays. And at the price difference of 90,000 pesos, the additions you get on the V are quite considerable. But you wouldn't feel like losing if you do get the S, because the inclusion of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay really make up for it. It does not feel as bare as you would think in an entry-level trim. because there's still some effort in building the interior. Who's this car for? This is for people who are looking to buy perhaps their first car, an affordable car, and they don't mind not having the bells and whistles that you would see in the top-of-the-line variants. But these people also look for convenience features. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and the push start button are still present, so you don't really feel like you scrimp on a lot of things. And of course, the way it drives. This is a no-frills car. It can be fun, as we drove it around Tanay earlier. It can be fun, but it can also be your everyday comfortable ride. Now, especially nowadays, a lot of affordable crossovers have popped out of the market. But you know, like, cars like this have a long history in our market, and they're not gonna go away that quickly.